Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Hey, we are on day five. Day five of literally, this is our bonus, right? We're in our bonus, a days of helping you become the person you need to be in order to do the thing that you need to do. And we're talking, in the last few days, we're talking about income and what we need to do to change some of the principles and the things that you do in order to do incomes. If these videos are helping you, if these videos are, you're able to take notes and you're doing stuff, maybe you can just drop me a quick note, say, Brian, keep going. Because one of the things, like I talked about yesterday, is making sure that whoever you're talking to or whoever you're presenting to or you're across the table with, it's the things that they need, not the items that I want them to need or the items that are going to help them that I've decided is going to help you, instead of you deciding that after I've given you this information that it's helping you. And so my ability to communicate with you is predicated on some principles and some things that I know work. But if I'm not delivering it and I'm not communicating to you in a way that you can take notes, you can write them down. More important than anything is that you can take action, because if you're not able to take action, you're not able to change these principles, then you're going to stay right where you're at. You're going to stay stuck. You're not going to make what you want to make this year. Like today, if you don't take these, if you take these principles and you apply them, there's no way you're not making $125,000 in the next 365 days. And so that's a little over 10 grand a month that you are making. And I'm hoping that it's more like 200 or 250,000. But these principles have to be implemented in your life in order for you to be able to do it. And if I'm not communicating in a way that is helping you do that, please let me know by not just turning it off, but just letting me know. But if these things are, and you want me to continue to share information over the next 4 or 5 days as we do these, I mean, 10, 15 minutes isn't enough time to dive deep into some of these things. And I would love to talk to you guys one-on-one. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm going over some of these principles. And so today, as I jump into here, I'm going to jump into my slideshow. Like I said, there is no way that in the next year, after watching this and you apply these principles, that you're not making the kind of money that you need to make. And so whether it's the presentation across the table, the things we've been talking about, or the things that I'm talking about today. All right, so that's not the reason. And Ryan says throughout this presentation, I'm going to talk about that's not the reason, or is it? Because you'll say, well, this is the reason that I wasn't able to do a presentation because I didn't have, schooling when I was younger or something like that. That taught me how to do it right. And I'm going to say that's not the reason. Or my my sales manager or the person who's helping me didn't give me the materials. And I'm going to say that's not the reason. Or is it the reason you're not able to achieve the way that you want to? Because you're saying, okay, I'm okay with him not giving it to me. I'm making that excuse and I'm saying that's the reason, but is it truly the reason? And so let's just keep that in your mind as we go through some of these principles today. So here's the first thing: is this presentation is mostly about excuses and how we deal with the excuses that we make to ourselves. So people don't care about your excuses, whatever they are. They only care that you made them, right? They don't care that oh, that's a great excuse. I understand why you were not here when you said you were going to be here. They might say, oh, no problem, I realize you got a flat tire and that there was an accident or something like that. Whatever it is, they just care that you weren't there. And so we have to get over the fact that we try to make excuses for the reason we're where we're at, and then be able to move forward. Because if you can't stop making those excuses, you can't move forward. So a person that I admire a lot used to tell me, he says, excuses, no matter how valid, weaken character. So your goal is not to make those choices. Judgments are based on achievement. Like, people judge you based on what you achieve, not on the reasons you didn't. Right. And so, I struggle sometimes myself, because there are so many things that are out of my control. And then I think, should they be in control? It's like I had one of my clients called me today and said that they got a check that they got from the I guess from the servicing organization. They deposited the check. The check from the bank got put on hold, and so they couldn't get to their money because it was flagged because of whatever. It's a check that they have never deposited into that bank before, so the bank's going to hold it until it clears. Well, I can make the excuse and say, well, that's how your bank operates, or that's, but should I have known that? Should I have prepared her for that? Should I have already said, hey, you may get a check? I thought it was going to be direct deposit into your account, but it wasn't. But should I have known that? Right. So I'm not going to make the excuse that, well, I didn't know that they were going to do that. That's the easiest thing that I could have said. I said, oh, yeah, I know you put your voided check in there and they were supposed to deposit it, but they didn't. And so I don't know why they didn't. They should have. And so that's my excuse. No, if I take the responsibility of that, then I say, I am so sorry that happened. Let's try to fix it. So I'm trying to explaining it away. I'm saying let's try to fix it. I apologize for it to happen. This is a terrible situation. I take responsibility for it. Let's move forward. That's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear my excuse on why their own bank messed up, right? So your willingness to make excuses is what's holding you back. It's a destructive power, right? Excuses destroy your progress and your potential. It destroys it. Your financial goals, making excuses of why you're not achieving. Remember, I said that that's not the reason. Well, it's not the reason that why you're not achieving your financial goals. So the reason is because you're making excuses about why you can't do what you need to do, and not just doing what you need to do on a daily basis, right? So as we're moving in, so excuses today, this happens to be my favorite talk that I love to give because it's the one that gets in your butt a little bit, but at the same time, it's the one that we can make the most progress with the fastest that we can by breaking this cycle of the way that you think and started thinking of, we talked yesterday about, opportunity thinking, versus past thinking. And so, or failure thinking, or things you want to do. And so, if we can hit this head on, that excuses, no matter how valid we could character, so you don't try to make them, you move forward, that you spend so much less time making those excuses or justifying the actions that you make, right? So, here's what I love. This one here. Today, excuses today are down payments for excuses that you will make in your future. Right. So you make a down payment of, hey, this is the excuse that I'm giving you here, which gives me the ability to make that excuse down the road. Well, I didn't make the calls that I had today because I was busy doing, my granddaughter came over and she needed my attention. And so because she needed my attention today, right? Okay, so I wasn't able to make the calls why I needed her attention today, and she might have been here all day, but then I was tired, so then I didn't make the calls after she left, right? But that's that down payment that says, well, if she shows up again tomorrow, I know I'm not going to be able to do it again tomorrow. So that's my down payment saying every time that she shows up, I'm not able to do the things that I need to do that I know that are going to change the trajectory of the future, right? So we got to accept this. Expenses and excuses now make it easier to rely on them later, right? I said that already. We need to break this cycle and we need to move forward our goals without making those excuses. All right. So one of the things that is really important when we start thinking about excuses is there's a thing called contributing factors and there's determining factors. The contributing factors are the things that happen to you. You can't control. They're in the environment. They are things that I know that you have like I said, no control over them altogether. For instance, a contributing factor is, let's say my parents, brought me up this way. So that's the way that I am. Well, that's a contributing factor, but that's not the reason, or is it? right? Determining factors are things that are internal, that are intrinsic, that you determine that you're going to do. They are decisions that dictate your outcomes, right? Based on who you are and what you do, not on what's happened to you. So some examples here. So like yeah, I just did with the parents' background, it is not a determining factor to your future. I can say because yeah, I'm a black man in America. And you would probably agree with me. And if you don't, I don't know what planet you're living on, that America has not been the best place for black men over the last 400 years. It just hasn't. And it continues to. But that's a contributing factor. It's not the reason whether I'm successful or not successful. Now, there's some hindrances that do it. There's some things that I have to go through. There's some, different circumstances that I may have to deal with. Well, I'm a woman in a man's world. I don't deny that it's harder being a woman in today's society or today's world. That is absolutely a contributing factor, but that's not the reason, right? You start thinking, well, I didn't get the right education. I didn't go to the right school. And because I didn't go to the right school, for me, I was in special education, right? And so I didn't learn the principles of, English and how to use writing as a way to disseminate information in a way that people would not laugh at me because of the way I write. But that's not the reason I don't write a book. That's not the reason that I don't communicate in email, because now I have technology that allows me to do it, right? So I want you to think of whatever excuse that you did or you gave to yourself today. Was it a contributing factor or was it a determining factor where you got to determine your trajectory of your life and where you go and how you're going to get there? And so I'm going to give you a list right now of contributing factors or just factors or reasons or excuses that people give me. I'm going to give you a list of 25, and I want you to tell me whether it is a contributing factor or a determining factor. And so can because you're the one who gets to determine your trajectory and where you go and what you're going to do. And if it's a determining factors, I am determined, right? I'm just going to say it that way, to get this done, and I'm going to find whatever I need to do in a way to be able to do it. When my dad was in prison, contributing factor, right? It's something that happened to me, not something that I intrinsically put on there because of I now, okay, now we can go backwards too, right? I have lack in my life. Is that a contributing factor or determining factor? Well, if I grew up in that environment and because my parents didn't have any money and I grew up very, very poor, that was a contributing factor. But now it might be a determining factor. Have I decided that I have to live in lack because of my upbringing or my mindset? All right, so let's go through some of these. So examples before I go through my 25 here. Just if you think about Nelson Mandela, right? Contributing factors. He was in prison for 28 years and became the president of South Africa, right? Because there was a determining factor inside of him intrinsically that allowed him to write and do the things that he did. What an amazing man that was able to overcome. You think of J.K. Rowling, right? Rejected multiple times before she wrote the book Harry Potter, right? What are those factors? And if you know her story and the things that she does, did she allow those contributing factors to stop her? Now you say, well, those are outliners. Those were lucky people. Really, luck is when opportunity and preparedness come together, right? That's the only thing that luck is. Opportunity comes, preparedness comes, you get it, you hit it, and you're done. Right? You think of Oprah Winfrey, overcame the challenging childhood, and now she's a billion with a B, a billionaire. Right? You think of Steve Jobs, right? The return to, he got fired from Apple, fired, then went started Pixar and came back to Apple, and he's one of the most, like when you think of Apple, you don't think of who's the owner of Apple right now. Tim's who somebody, right? Or is it you think of when you think of Apple, you think of Steve Jobs and his amazingness. All right, so let's talk about these 25 excuses people use as to why they're not making it now. I don't have enough time. Contributing factor or determining factor? We all have the same amount of time. So there's a whole lot of people who are making $125,000 a year or more, millions of dollars a year. They have the exact same amount of time as you. So what's the difference? I guess you do, right? I'm too old. Was it the founder of KFC, Colonel Sanders, right? 68 when he started KFC, right? I don't know the right people. Why? Controlling factor, determining factor. Or can I make it a determining factor? Because maybe it was contributing before right now, that because I did, the people that I was around are the people who did it for me. I don't have the money to start. Determining or contributing. I'm not lucky. Controlling or determining. I have the kids to take care of. Contributing or determining. I don't have a mentor. Contributing or determining. I'm afraid of failure. Contributing, determining. I don't know where to start. Contributing, determining. And I could delve into each of those, but I think you're getting the picture here. My partner isn't supportive. Contributing factor, determining factor. I'm too introverted. Contributing, determining. I live in the wrong area. Contributing, determining. I laughed at that one, right? Like, you're in America. Do you need to live in the area that you're in? If that's truly the reason. But these are the reasons that I get sometimes as I'm doing my coaching and I'm talking to people, right? And they're telling me the different things that are going on. They're giving me these excuses as to why they're not succeeding. I live in the wrong area. People here are too poor. They don't buy. Whatever it is that they don't like me. I'm gonna need some worms, right? Everybody hates me. Nobody likes me. I'm gonna need some worms. I think that was a book when I was a kid, right? I'll do it when the time is right. Ooh, I don't even know how to deal with that one. That's an excuse that people use for why they're not doing it now. Um, I wasn't born into a wealthy family. Contributing, determining. It's not the reason, right? I didn't go to the right school. It's not the reason. The economy is bad. That's not the reason. I don't have the skills. That's not the reason. I tried before I failed. That's not the reason. I'm not good at sales. That's not the reason. I'm too busy to do my day job. I'm too busy with my day job to go do my side hustle. That's not the reason. I don't have a support system. That's not the reason. I'm too tired. That's not even the reason. I have too much debt. That's absolutely not the reason. I don't have an education. We talked about that. That's not the reason. I have health issues. That's not even the reason. Think of somebody you know who has health riches that is accomplished. So if you don't make excuses, you don't have to take them. Right? So right now, if I'm trying not to make excuses, so when you give me one of those excuses, I get to turn around and say, that's not the reason. Right? And so excuses are the barrier to success. By eliminating excuses, you open up the path to achievement. Right? And so your call to action today is commit today to no excuses, a no excuse mindset. What will achieve? What will you achieve in this next year? All right, enjoyed having this conversation with you on day 5. Can't wait at day 6 to see what I'm going to talk about and to see what you're going to get. But I know this is one of my favorites because that's not the reason. So now show me the reason that you are successful because you did these things and you didn't make excuse. You have an awesome, wonderful, just incredible day today, and we will talk to you tomorrow.